Welcome back to the monthly recap here on the Oakland Athletics franchise. This is going to be a different edition of a monthly recap, though, as this is the end of the regular season, plus the playoff preview episode. As you can see on the screen right now, the Oakland Athletics have won their division at 90-72 on the year. They won the AL West. That means we'll be taking on the Detroit Tigers in the American League Division Series. But before we get into talking about the playoffs, we're going to go over some stuff that happened, like end of the season stuff, like league leaders is the first thing we're hopping into. As Yangervis Solarte had a pretty good year, I would say, with this Athletics team, his first full season with the A's, as he was picked up in last year's trade deadline. And Solarte had a 327, 382, 506 clip with 20 home runs and 84 RBI. That was first in the American League in batting average. He was tied for fifth in the American League in hits, and he was fourth in the American League in doubles. So just an all-around great year for Solarte at the plate. And then moving on to Billy Burns. His average in OBP definitely worrisome, especially for a leadoff guy. He only hit 251 with a 304 OBP, 5 home runs, 45 RBI, and 19 swiped bags. He had 10 triples, though, which was first in the American League. Chris Davis had the power bat working all year long. Chris Davis hit 270 with a 332 OBP, 32 home runs, and 101 RBI. Now that 270 average and 332 OBP is definitely good for Chris Davis. This guy is usually someone who strikes out a ton, and he'll hit like a 280 OBP, so that is definitely impressive out of Chris Davis, as he was top 10 in home runs and RBI in the American League this year. Gerard Dyson, the Rule 5 draft pick, had a spectacular season, hit over 300, it was 316 with a 373 OBP, and he swiped 46 bags. So I don't remember your name, but shout out to the guy who left a comment in the offseason video, I think it was, that guaranteed Dyson would steal 40 bags. You were correct. 46 swipe bags for Dyson, 67 runs, and he was, I believe, second in the American League in stolen bases. Moving on to the pitching side of things, Sean Doolittle was tied for fourth in the American League with saves, as he had 45 on the year, and he was actually tied with Zach Britton of the Baltimore Orioles in 52 and 2/3 innings. He had 53 strikeouts and a 2.26 ERA. So the left-handed closer had a pretty darn good season, especially considering he started off quite slow and got rocked a few times early on, and he didn't have the best season last year either, but Doolittle has definitely calmed down there and become a solid closer with that 2.26 ERA and the 45 saves. Sonny Gray, however, he got off to a start that was amazing, and he never let up. Sonny Gray just dominated everybody. The only games he lost was because the A's couldn't provide run support for him for whatever reason. He did spend some time on the DL, though, and that probably cost him once we got into the awards, but he did finish 14-6 with a 2.13 ERA and a 1.02 whip. In 206 and 2/3 innings, he had 202 strikeouts, and that was first in the American League in earned run average. He was tied for fourth in strikeouts, and then he was third in the entire American League in whip. So Sonny Gray was definitely up there with the elite pitchers this year, coming off that big contract he signed in the offseason to really prove that he is this team's star, he is their ace, and Sonny Gray definitely earned the first year of the money in that contract with this year. And it did cost him once we got to the awards, though, as in the awards, the AL MVP was Carlos Correa, hit 37 ding-dongs despite not being a slugger, because he apparently doesn't try to hit the ball out of the park every single time, which I don't think anybody does except for maybe, like, I don't know, Joey Gallo and guys who are going to hit like 180 with like a 250 OBP, because that's all they can do. But, yeah, he's not a slugger because he doesn't try to do that. So 37 home runs, 125 RBIs for him. Aaron Sanchez, AL Cy Young, 18-4 on the year, 2.33 ERA and 200 strikeouts. So Aaron Sanchez gets the Cy Young. I think Sonny Gray definitely had the better season, but if he got a couple more wins, then he probably would have won the Cy Young over Sanchez because he had the better ERA and more strikeouts. But Aaron Sanchez had the more victories, and voters are old school and they don't realize that wins as a pitcher is one of the dumbest stats ever, but the voters don't realize that. And also the batting title went to Yangervis Solarte. So Solarte is the only A who gets himself some hardware as he wins the batting title, as he had the best average in the American League. Around the league, the standings was the AL West leaders were the Oakland Athletics. In the AL East, it was the Toronto Blue Jays. In the AL Central, it was the Detroit Tigers. In the NL East, it was the Washington Nationals. The NL Central was the Chicago Cubs. The NL West was the Los Angeles Dodgers, and then the wild card for each league, the American League, was the Los Angeles Angels and the Seattle Mariners, and the National League was the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Francisco Giants. So now moving on to talking about a bit about the playoffs and our playoff matchup in the Detroit Tigers, the winners of the American League Central. So looking at their rotation, their bullpen, and their lineups, the rotation 1 to 5 is Jordan Zimmermann, Anibal Sanchez, Justin Verlander, Brett Anderson, and Daniel Norris. So a couple lefties in that rotation, in Anderson and Norris, and they're all pretty solid starters. Zimmermann, of course, is their ace. He's going to be going on Game 1. Their bullpen is long reliever Shane Green, middle relievers in Bruce Rondon and Blaine Hardy, setup men in Justin Wilson and Mark Lowe, and their closer is the veteran K-Rod Francisco Rodriguez. While their lineup versus right-handed pitching is shortstop Jose Iglesias, center fielder Anthony Gose, first baseman Miguel Cabrera Miggy, right field is Nick Martinez, third baseman is Nick Castellanos, and DH is Dean Green. What a name, Dean Green. Second base, Ian Kinsler. Catching is Jared Saltalamacchia. And in left field is someone who is not related to me, in Kelly Dugan. And then we're not going to go over their versus left-handed starting pitchers lineup because, well, the A's don't have any left-handed starting pitching, so they're not going to be seeing that lineup. They're just going to be seeing the right-handed one. And then, so heading into this series, it is the ALDS, so that means it's only a 5-game series, and Detroit has home field because they were the better division winner. The A's only won 90 games. I think the Tigers won like 95, something like that. They won more than the A's. That's the point. So they have home field advantage. So next episode is going to be Game 1 of the American League Division Series in Detroit, and it'll be Sonny Gray for the A's versus Jordan Zimmermann of the Detroit Tigers. So with that being said, it's going to wrap things up here for this end of season recap plus playoff preview of the ALDS. I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I'm saying goodbye.